right, let's welcome Richard Cardillo.
It's June 30th, 1985, and it's going to be the last day that my feet are on North American soil for 5 years. The bags are packed. I have the ticket bought, the one-way ticket to Peru. I'm ready to go, and yet the only thing left to do is have a kick-ass going-away party for me. I have 4 brothers, 4 sisters, all married with spouses. My parents are still alive. 1 grandmother's still alive. All the neighbors are going to be there. Multiple cousins coming out of the woodworks. My cousin Muji and my cousin Adelina made 400 cannolis. And they had it spell out, Peru needs you. So I was ready to go. Lest you think I had the wanderlust, let me give you a little bit of a backstory. For the last 5 years, I was a monk in a monastery, and I was teaching in an all-boys Catholic high school in Harlem. The day that winter break ended, it's Christmas break, all-boys Catholic school, we could say Christmas. The day Christmas break ended, I'm in the evening doing my spiritual reading, which is what you're supposed to do, and a knock comes on the door from my superior, Brother Joe, and he said, "Do you speak Spanish?" And I said, "Well, high school Spanish." He said, "I think you better learn it because we're transferring you to the Brothers Mission Schools in Peru." And I couldn't believe it. And that's when I realized what the vow of obedience was about. And that's my vow of obedience. You do what the superiors tell you to do as if God told you to do that. The only equivalent that some people might equate with this is like the draft for the military. The only difference with this is you can't burn God's draft card. You got to go. So they sent me out. One good thing in their favor is they did give me a 3-month stint of real cross-cultural adaptation, and I went away for a real intense program. It's the first time I studied liberation theology. It's the first time I studied cross-cultural connections. It's the first time I studied Marxist theory, all of these things. And also what they gave you was an awful lot of time on personal work. We saw a therapist every day for 3 months. And their idea was, when you get to Peru, if you still have unresolved issues, when you open your luggage, they're going to come out. And with your culture shock, they're going to come back and bite you in the ass. So deal with them now. They tried to teach us all techniques about ritualizing stuff, too. There was this one nun from Quebec. She had spent 25 years in El Salvador, and she said, one of the techniques that I use all the time is when I'm in El Salvador, I look up at the moon. And my grand-père, when he's in Quebec and looking up at the moon, I know we're looking at the moon together, and there's a connection. And this nunny bunny stuff was just not resonating with me, but I figured I'd put it in my bag of tricks and get moving. They also taught you, get ready to celebrate with kick-ass parties, and thus the going-away party. Hundreds came, the whole neighborhood, the whole St. Anthony's Parish, all my cousins, eating those cannolis. Now it just said, Peru need you. It was going fast. Something weird happened right away during that party. People started opening up to me. So my aunt comes up to me and she says, before you go, I got to let you know, Richie, your uncle's been cheating on me for 15 years. And I've known about it all along, but I've never opened my mouth, because what are you going to do? My uncle on my father's side comes to me and says, Richie, it's about time you know. When I came back from World War II, I had a baby with a woman who's not your Aunt Grace. And I pay child support for her every day. My cousin came to me and he said, your cousin Mikey who came home from the Vietnam War, then went right to prison? It was rape. A neighbor comes up to me and says, you got to hear me out. And she was the person who ran the church offerings, the choir, did everything. And she said, I got to let you know, though, I haven't believed in God for the last 10 years of my life. These people were coming out of the woodworks. And I'm thinking, did they think it was confession? I wasn't a priest. I was a brother. There's a difference. If you're not of the Catholic persuasion, a priest says mass, a priest forgives sins. A brother lives in community and does good works. The way I explain it to most people is a brother is just like a nun, but with a penis. So that's what I was. So I figured, okay, these people don't want forgiveness, but they think I must have this special in with God. But that's not the case at all. And I felt like I was hoodwinking them. But I listened to all these stories that came out of the woodworks. The next day comes, the leave taking is very, very hard. My parents drive me to JFK. I get on that flight. I land at 2 in the morning in Lima. And there's a military curfew in effect. The country was going through very horrible times. So I had an army escort to my monastery. And I get there and I'm feeling empty. The morning comes. The brothers are saying, welcome. Take the day for yourself to do what you want. I'm already getting the first feelings of homesickness. And I go to my room and I open that luggage. And what comes out? My uncle's infidelity to my aunt. My uncle's illegitimate child. My cousin's prison stay. That poor neighbor who does not have any belief. And I'm thinking, what do I do with this? I can't do a thing with this. It would take many years before that for me to realize that all you really have to do is carry that stuff in your heart. But I tread on that very, very lightly until I realized I was not the Savior. I was on the road and on the journey with them. Thank you.